Welcome to Money Convos, where we discuss personal finance and investment tips. We're committed to helping people create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. All right then, let's head into today's conversation.
Hi, Brian. Nice to see you in the audience. We'll give it just a couple of moments so that others come and then we start. Okay. Hi, Douglas. Hi, Brian. While we wait on others, if you don't mind, just join me up here. Let's do a bit of a catch up before we start today's conversation. Today's conversation, we're going to be talking about what to do when there's a mistake on your account. The name, I don't want to limit it to just a bank account because we all have other statements or other accounts like SNITs. We have our pension, other pension accounts, private pension accounts. We have your normal bank. You have sometimes even Momo, your mobile money accounts has issues. So we want to look at the various mediation steps that can be taken when there's an error on it. Some of the errors can be as little as just a few CDs gone, and some can be as much as thousands, if not hundreds of thousands gone. So yeah. Hope people will be able to share their experiences, and then we look at ways to reduce those kind of mistakes and resolve them quickly. We will share some links and some resources that people can go to get the help they need when they get that issue. Welcome, Adam. Inviting you up here so you join us. Oh yeah, in the meantime, Douglas, how you doing?
Hi, Elikem. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. I'm good. Are you enjoying the summer?
Yeah, but New York is very hot. I mean, New York is so hot. I mean,
what's the temperature in Fahrenheit?
I don't know.
Pull up my weather.
It's currently 30 degrees. I don't know.
30 degrees
Celsius. Yeah.
Celsius.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 86 Fahrenheit. Oh, 86 Fahrenheit. Oh, Malo.
Oh, really?
That was that's cool. You know what it is in Texas? It's 95.
95?
95. Today is a very cool day. Today is a cool day. Normal 104. 110.
This hotness is different. I mean, it's quite different.
It's different from
Ghana hotness. I know, like this one here. when I hit down, I was like, it's like the place is so, your body is, I mean, the way you feel the heat, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a bit humid.
Yeah.
No, I used to wonder why people like abroad would be there talking about the weather all the time. When I was in Ghana, what did I care about it?
Yeah.
Keep an umbrella. And one in here. Fine, you are ready. If it doesn't rain, no problem. Who cares about the same weather all year round? Or it's only. But here, when I'm dressing, and a whole conversation can be made out of it. Look at us, we've been talking for the last 2.
Very true.
I'm sure looking at us like, what are these people talking about? Ghana boys talking about weather. Adam, are you there?
Elikem,
Bishop.
that was exactly my sentiment. Like talking about horse. We horse in weather all the time.
But this hotness is different. Like
when you started mentioning 95 and things, I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute.
Room temperature is 20.
Pardon me?
I think in Celsius, room temperature in Ghana is 27 degrees.
Yeah,
Ghana maximum 30 something. 30, like 27, 30 there.
So what I'm experiencing here is like 40 something. You understand? And today is even a cool day. You understand? Cool day.
Yeah.
For Texas. You know something funny? I digress before we enter this story. Just for kicks. There was one day when winter was ending and spring was starting. The weather was very moody. As usual, I finished showering. I'm getting and I check my weather app to see what's it gonna be today. Okay, cool. I had a lot of rounds in the day. So it said it would be very snowy. And the type that you did, oh, but I got my thick jacket boots on, Charlie. And those boots are not light boots, so not the one that people use for fashion. No. One day, hey, got my boots, because if you don't get proper boots, you slip and fall on your behind. All you see is gravity. Anyway. And by the time I was done with the first meeting, the sun was shining, the snow melting on the sidewalks, everything was clear. And now here I am in this Eskimo gear, and the sun is shining, making me look bad. Oh, here alone in the bus and fully the teeth.
This friend told me that if you are going out, you have to look at the forecast for the evening as well, because the weather can change. Like, even the forecast can even change anytime. In 4 minutes, it will change. Like, the weather will change in just 4 minutes. Like,
the forecast changed. Like, so I was like, what did you people told me a different story? I opened the app, that changed this mind, crap. Ghana government. Anyway, it's like when they promise you COVID relief and to be free, and then next year they change their mind that they'll tax you for it. Anyway, sure. All right, let's get to today's topic, right? So today is about what we do when our money manager makes a mistake on your account. Perhaps let's start off with some personal stories about these kind of experiences. Anyone willing to share? Have you ever had an event where there was a major mistake on your bank account or your SNET account or any account at all? And then I recall when we were discussing this topic, you had a few concerns.
Oh yeah, Elikem. I'm quite particular about a lot of things.
They remove 10 from your million.
So okay, I think my very first experience with a bank issue, that was like a normal universal banks. I went to do a deposit, and that's some years back. So I went to do a deposit, and then I was rather debited. And I had walked out of the banking hall for a while. I think I was going back to the office or something when the text message came, and then I realized that I've been debited. So my first instinct was like, oh, maybe it's I don't know. So after a while, I was thinking this thing will correct, and it was still there and still. So I went back. I had to go back, leave the office, and went back to the banking hall again. And then I went to the customer service officer. And then I explained that this is what has happened, because by being debited means I was now, my balance that I even had before coming to the banking hall is even lower. So when she looked at it, and then she was like, oh, so who attended to me? And I mentioned, I pointed to the teller, and she kind of, I don't know, some way, her reaction was a bit some way, because it looked like maybe this teller had been making these kinds of mistakes often. So they took my complaint, and then she told, I think I just did some, fortunately I had a copy of my pay slip that I gave a copy to the person, and then they picked it up, and I think by close of it was worked on. So that was my first experience that I realized that, so actually mistakes can be made. And ever since then, I was very careful anytime I did a transaction to always keep a receipt, or to always have a copy of something, so that if there's any issue, I can always fall back to it and make sure that it is corrected. So that was my first experience, basically, for some years back when I started working fresh.
That's interesting. You make a deposit, and rather they remove from what you already have. Ain't that sad? It's this last part that you mentioned about the receipts. It's so important. How often do we keep our receipts? But I used to keep a certain brown envelope where I dump all my receipts, or take a picture, especially the ones that I know they will fade away. The ones that come out of those, the paper easily fades. It's like these POS devices, the receipts that come out of it, those ones, for example, they fade easily. So you take a picture and keep that record. It may be quite annoying to always keep those records and always keep your receipts, or take a picture and name it properly. But these days, if you take a picture of it, the phones, when you search for a word in your your album app or your photo app, it can find the right documents or receipts for you. So that's a good way to help you, and you use that as your proof of your transaction. That's interesting. Your first experience with them, and they were taking out of your money, but your balance wasn't finishing. Big boy, you had them there. He started long time from way back. Big man money in his account back in the day. Anyway, just hype. That's hype. For me, one of my first few experiences was when I was in uni. On my ATM, I think I withdrew money and the money didn't come, and they still debited me. And back in the day, Charlie, how much do I even have? That you give me the money. I'm already hustling. I'm coming to remove some small coins. I had one family friend in SG back then. Oh, she was so nice. She followed up on the issue for me, and I got the money credited back to me. So since then, back on campus, it was always an action spot to know which ATMs are faulty, so that you avoid the faulty ATMs. Always an action spot, right? So that was the first issue I had. Thinking back, there was one time in preparation for school, I had to make a fee. This must have been 2 years ago in 2021, and I was making a payment offshore, and there was something wrong with I remember now. So there was a fee, a transaction fee. So they reviewed the money that they were supposed to take. Then in addition, there's a transaction fee. Now that transaction fee was supposed to be in cedis, and then they treated it as if it was a dollar amount, and then they reviewed that amount from my account. I was like, hey people, the cedis we are talking about, to put my money back there and take your cedis. So it involved a lot of going back and forth. I had to make 2 visits to, I hate to name drop, but 2 visits to one of these big banks in Ghana that they have very good technology, but we all know that their customer service is some type of way. So you just keep praying that you don't have to go there. If you want a clue, one of us has kind of worked near them before. Shots fired. Who the cap fits, let them wear it. But anyway, it involved a lot of back and forth. There were receipts, emails I had received, so that helped track it down. So proofs always helps. Douglas, how about you? Any such experience?
Welcome. Not really. Not really. The only issue I've had was my ATM card not producing my money. I mean, my ATM machine. I went to one ATM and I entered my my request, and the money got stuck. It didn't come. Like, I was so stressed then. But as to deductions that I didn't know about, probably, I don't know, I've not experienced that before. It was just an ATM issue, but it took me like, I think 30 days or so. I don't want to mention, it was when I was in school. Yeah, it took like 30 days before the thing was reversed. So you can just imagine the stress I went through during that time. Like, I had that issue, and I think basically I don't have any deduction issue aside from that one.
Wow.
Lucky.
30 days before it gets resolved. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So, I just can't wrap my head around 30 days without money that you needed and you went to take. It's that's quite a challenge, especially knowing that that's the little that you have.
You have, yeah. You can imagine. I never used that. I think it was through that Momo. When the Momo option came for ATM withdrawal. In front of those who went to University of Ghana, in front of Water Hall, there was this ATM machine. And I tried to use the Momo option. I'm very, tech savvy. I want to, use technology to improve my life. So when it came, I dialed the USSD and I tried to use the Momo withdrawal option. The money got stuck. So they had to, because it involves 2 different players, the bank and the Momo people. Like, I think that's what caused the delay in the processing of the refund. So I had to call these Momo people. They tell me that the bank will do it. Then I called the bank, and said it took time. So I had to wait for that long.
Guys, you wanted to use brand new technology. Yeah, but we'll let the issue about what did you go and do about that horse slide, because it was
no. But Elikem, I always pass there to school, so I always pass there to like class. This one, you wouldn't hold. No, it's not hold.
I just mess up. It's right in front.
Yeah.
But me mom, I used to enter there. Anyway, sorry for another day. So all right. So issues happen, and there's more than one institution involved, and it becomes even more tricky.
Yeah.
So some of the things that we can do to manage these situations when they happen, avoiding them, of course, there are always ways to avoid them, but at this point it's happened. There's a mistake. Anyone wants to take us through some steps? And hey, Brian, I know you are much closer to these kind of issues from the inside, so it'd be great to hear your take on these and see if you can get us some tips to improve upon it. I'll share one. No, actually, that'll come back later. My personal experience from the inside of how you can make the process go faster. I think first point of call is like Adam did. Just go talk to the people in the branch and try to figure out what happened, and try to get a quick resolution, or call the call center or something. Just try to get it resolved. And I can imagine with money is really frustrating, because I have worked on the financial services side, dealing with clients, even retail clients. I have felt like, okay, I understand the need to keep calm and not let tempers flare, but hey, it's people's money. It's a lot of things at stake with money. So it's important that we on the inside dealing with clients, we take it seriously and treat it with some empathy. But emotions will flare. We all just need to act professionally. But anyway, let's get to some tips. Brian, would you like to share some ways that people can deal with their banks and financial institutions in the most efficient ways?
Hi, Ali. I hope you're doing well. How are you doing?
Great, my brother.
I hope you're all having a good time. Sorry, I sound a bit nasal. I'm just recovering from a cold, but I tried to listen in today. With regards to some of the prime steps to take when you are in any of these situations, the most important thing is to report on time. And so, be it reporting to your bank either by visiting a branch of the bank in person, or sending an email complaint, or phoning the call center. I mean, the most important thing is to let the service provider be aware of the situation, and then they will take it up from there, depending on whichever kind of situation it is. If it is something that can be resolved immediately, it's maybe done for you, or it will take some time to be resolved because it involves some other players. As Douglas shared his experience, and they will also advise you on how long the chance it may take. But the most key thing is to report it on time. At least that's the process. And that reducing the amount of time it takes to resolve the issue.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Brian. Prompt response. And hey, bro, get well soon, yeah? This one, you need somebody to come and serve you some nice warm soup or hot soup to help you recover. If you know your situation, I hope your mother or your sisters are dead, or in fact, you can't do it for yourself. You need some TLC. So I hope you get well soon. Anyway, so prompt reporting of the issue would help resolve the problem at hand. Thanks a lot, Brian. Let's see, Adam, how about you? In your experiences, what have you seen beyond reporting promptly?
So apart from prompt reporting, like I think you also mentioned, and I mentioned that documentation is also key. What is the evidence to show that a transaction has occurred? And what this brings my mind to is, especially sometimes you don't even notice there's an issue until maybe some months have passed, or some time has passed. That's in that case it cannot be prompt again. Something has happened. Nobody realized this is what's happened. Maybe yourself, the bank, nobody really could tell. And then months have passed. So how then do you go and prove that this is what your case is? It is the evidence that you have in terms of documentation, whether it's a pay-in slip or payment advice or some kind of a receipt or something. So it is very, very key to make sure that you have all documentation. Even if you do the transaction and on the face of it, nothing seems to have gone wrong, there's always that chance that maybe later an issue will happen and then you would have to prove that you did deposited this money or you indeed performed this transaction. So it's very important that you have the documentation.
Okay, documentation again, and I like that point where you said on the face of it things would seem like they've gone well, but later you see that either you didn't see clearly or something has changed or the transaction was duplicated or something. This gets me thinking about how often do we check our statements. Quite most of us get notifications via text every time there's a transaction. But sometimes if your network is down or the network of the bank is down, you won't get the message on time. So maybe we should be checking our statements. In fact, not maybe, we probably should be checking our bank statements more often. We keep talking about SNIT statements at least every quarter. Go check these statements to make sure everything is going on well. Your tier 1, tier 2, or tier 1 is SNIT. Your tier 2 and tier 3 contributions, make sure that they are there. They are going on time so that you get good value for them. All these things are things that you should be checking regularly. In fact, insurance. I know of people who've been paying insurance. Let's say your insurance was to cover yourself, your mother, and your father, and you lost your father. I have a friend who lost her father, and for years she was still paying the insurance premium on her father. So that just gets you thinking. That person wasn't keeping a keen eye on the payments. So just keep a keen eye on your payments. One way to do it is look at your transaction on your statement. This question actually is good we have Brian today because I'm curious about escalation. You talk to the teller or the customer service rep, at the front desk or somebody that you get easy access to, or you sent emails and it's not working out. What's the process of escalation like? I've seen an infographic by Bank of Ghana before. Was it in an ABSA branch or so? I'll try to look at that infographic up and pull it up. But until then, Brian, are you familiar with that escalation process?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please tell us some more.
Yes, so as the name implies, it's basically reporting to the next line of authority in the event that your issue is not being addressed as promptly as you'd expect. And so primarily, the first point of call is the institution that you have an issue with, whether it's a cash transaction or an online payment that has not gone through, or any issue with regards to your financial service provider. And so in our case, because we are regulated by the central bank, they prescribed a process through which you make your complaint. So the first point of call, as I mentioned, you either visit a branch of the institution that you're dealing with, or you can make a telephone call to their customer service or customer care lines, or you can drop them an email just to let the institution be aware that this is the issue. Normally, there is a fixed turnaround time within which they are supposed to respond to you. I believe it's, within 24 hours or 48 hours. After which, if your issue has not been resolved, it is lodged to, there's a second level kind of authority. There's a second level check at every financial institution where your issue is initially escalated to, for them to also do some further checks on your issue. If after this level is still not handled, or um, it's still not being solved for you, you have to report to the Bank of Ghana, and the Bank of Ghana will then sort of investigate the financial institution that is at this point refusing to solve your issue for you. And if the Bank of Ghana, you are also not satisfied with the resolution they are proposing, or they are also being slow, then your last kind of resort, or your last avenue would be through the legal system. So you can decide to take legal action on the service provider who has refused to rectify your issue for you. For all these steps, there are specific timelines, or there are number of days after which, if you don't get a satisfactory response, you progress to the next stage. But unfortunately, I don't have all of them offered. I'll try and get something like that online, and then you can share for our knowledge. But basically, that's the general process flow.
That's great, Brian. Thank you for sharing that. Adam, I'm not so savvy at doing these replies to these tweets. I've seen some infographics. They may be quite dated. I think similar to what Brian was talking about. So if you can, just pull them up as replies to our tweet, with the disclaimer that these may be outdated, but these are stuff we saw on Google. I've seen one by Zenith Bank, one by Bank of Ghana, one by Prudential Bank. I'm still looking for the one that I've seen by Bank of Ghana, which is as detailed as Brian was explaining. But yeah, so to Brian's point, there are timelines around all these things. When to expect a response, and if you don't get a response, you escalate it to the next level. I think it's pretty similar with the Securities and Exchange Commission. That's for the investment houses. So you could follow similar procedures, but swap out Bank of Ghana with SEC. We have some links that would share to the websites or the reporting websites for these regulators. I even see that there are some WhatsApp numbers that you can contact if you want to be like Douglas and be more tech savvy. You could go that way. Yeah. But it's good to know that our regulators have our back and these procedures are there. Brian, I know you are not a legal expert, and you are here only speaking as yourself based on your personal knowledge and not in the capacity of not representing any organization, right? But I'm curious, from your professional experience, have you heard or seen any event where an issue was brought to a court of law, a complaint that was escalated, and the court said, well, there's processes that you should follow, but this plaintiff didn't try to talk to the bank or escalate it all the way to the regulators, or didn't let there be enough notice or time to pass, and they just brought the issue to the court. So we are going to send it back to the regulator to try to resolve before it comes to the court. In summary, is it possible that a court can say you didn't follow all these escalation processes, so we won't hear your case until you've attempted all those measures?
No. And so I think every citizen or every individual or every entity has the right to use the legal system or the judicial system at any point at all to get resolution for their issue. The prescribed or the processes for complaint escalation that we've been discussing for a couple of minutes now is just the process that is prescribed by the regulator, that you go here in an attempt to get your issue resolved. If it's not, this is the next step that you go to. If it's not, this is the next step. If not, you come to us. And if you are still not satisfied with us, then you can go to the law courts. But I'm not sure that if you go to the courts directly without passing through these channels, that will be the reason why they will throw your case out, so to speak. You can go to court at any time. Once you have a case to present and you have legal representation, you can visit the courts to have your case heard at any time.
Okay, that's good to know. It's good to know that this wouldn't be a stumbling block for people who have grievances. It's good that we know these processes so that we as customers of these institutions know that we have rights, and and whenever we have issues and we are trying to get them settled, we let the people on the other side know that, hey, listen, I have rights, and this is the escalation step I could take. But let's try to avoid that escalation step, because it will not be good for the institution that is being referenced. One of the ways that we know it's not good is the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. They have on their website a page that displays, should I say, something like a traffic light. It's color coded. It's color coding the names of various financial institutions and stating if they have any kind of issues at hand. So I think gold and red are the signals that you know that there's some form of issue, whether it's a minor issue or it's a major issue. And any institution will want to make sure that they stay off the wrong colors on that page. So it's the onus lies on the institution to make sure that they resolve it, so that it doesn't have to escalate all the way to the regulators level. But be educated, be informed, know that this is your right, and let the other side also know that you can seek other means to enforce your rights if they don't do the necessary to make sure that they resolve your problem. Great. All right. It's good to know these things. So anyone who just joined, we are having a conversation about what to do when you have an issue on your accounts. It could be any financial institution, your bank, your pension related accounts, any statements at all, insurance even, so some of the things we've spoken about are keeping good records, keeping receipts. This day and age, you could take a picture of your receipts so that your receipts don't fade away, or if you don't have to keep all those bulky receipts. Brian mentioned reporting as soon as possible when these errors are observed. Report them as soon as possible. And Brian walked us through some of the escalation steps. You deal with it in-house, you talk to the bank through any of their approved means, and then if all that doesn't work out, you can go through the regulator and eventually you get to seek some legal redress, go to the courts to get your problem resolved. So yeah, these are some of the steps, but it's you don't necessarily, I don't think, or we don't think anything stops you from going to the court directly. But I'll just issue my personal opinion on some of these things. I feel like our courts are already choked with so many issues, so many court cases end up taking forever because it's quite burdened. So we should take advantage of some of these steps to resolve issues before we go to the court process. Those can be quite expensive and daunting and take up a lot of your time. So if there's a way to resolve it before it even gets to that point, let's take advantage of it. This goes not just to us as customers or individuals, but also to employees of financial institutions. Let's save ourselves all that stress and deal with things in a professional way. Try to always look for resolutions to these problems as they come up. Adam has been gracious to share some infographics. Just to issue a disclaimer, we just looked these up on Google and saw some form of steps by some institutions and the Bank of Ghana in terms of how to escalate complaints. We don't know how recent these are. They may be outdated, or they may not be in force, or there may be an improvement or some changes to it. So just take these with a pinch of salt. It just wants you to know that there are some processes and there's some protection. So if ever there's an issue, don't feel powerless. You have some rights to enforce. Okay, great. All right, so this matter, I guess, is pretty simple, but we could open it up to any questions that people may have, or if you would like to share some experiences of errors that you've had on your bank statement and how it's been resolved. If anyone would like to share that would be great. Adam, do you have any more error stories for us?
Oh, well, okay. Media, I don't know why. I seem to have a lot of stories. Okay, so this one was with, also, I don't know, and most at times is with kind of deposits or kind of these transactions. This one was with my investment account, one of the investment mutual fund. I did a transfer, I deposited, and I think it was this regular things I used to do. So when it happened, I did a transfer. I didn't realize it had not been reflected at the other side. And this is where it comes to what I was talking about earlier, about the fact that you can do a transaction, you might think everything is okay. So it was later during my routine request for statement that I know that, oh, I've moved this X amount of money to this mutual fund. But when I see the statement that has come, I don't see a reflection of that total deposit. So then I go through and I realize that this particular date I made this transaction. And fortunately I had the trail of the transfer. I think it was a text message that I had a screenshot. So there was a transaction number and all that. So they're able to follow up on that, and then I was able to get my my money credited to.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Maybe they used you to test their systems to see their systems are working.
Maybe. maybe.
They have to start paying testing fees if that's the case.
And there's also one instance where, in this case, it was to my favor, but to the disadvantage of the institution, where on the on the statement, I know there's more deposits than I have done, and so I had to draw the attention of one of the officers, and they went through and they realized that indeed he had made a mistake. He was very grateful. Like, if I was somebody, I would have just walked away with some extra money. But I mean, that's dishonest deal. So I just made sure that I made the person. So this draws our attention that mistakes are always made, and we need to be watchful and then check and make sure that these things are corrected. I know some one or two people who I think when it happened, they couldn't seem to be able to prove that they have done that transaction, but they still insist they did it. But because there was nothing to really show, sometimes it just gets lost in the system. Because if you are dealing with a house, maybe let's say the data bank with all these thousands of customers and all these transactions happening on a daily basis, Charlie, it can be a mess if you can't show evidence that you did this transaction. So it's very, very important for me. Evidence there, I always keep it.
Wow, it's you always have to keep the evidence because things do happen. And I used to tell my people back in the day, and I always kept this at the forefront of my mind, that even if our error rate is just 1%, or we have a success rate of 99%, like you mentioned, with tens of thousands of transactions every day, that's still a lot of money in that 1%. You reduce it to 0.1%, and that's still a lot of money. Or even if it's just one transaction a day, that could be somebody's most important money. And that's when you chose to. That's when the error happened on them and it messed up their day. So we have to deal with these things with some empathy. But encourage everybody as consumers, as investors. Things do happen, errors happen. Let's have sufficient information to handle them professionally. And also to the people on the inside of the institutions, handle it professionally and promptly so that everything will be calm. Some of these issues, when they happen and they are resolved, it helps build even stronger relationships between customers and institutions. So that would be great. Right. Guys, we can keep today's session short and sweet so that we can go back to resting and planning for our week. Next week, we'll have an interesting conversation with somebody who started a business in Ghana, and it's still growing, but we would like to get his perspective on how it is, the challenges of being an entrepreneur, doing business, managing a business, and then also from an investment point of view, fundraising, and how to be accountable to investors and all that. The hope is that as people are thinking about entrepreneurship, they'll come out of these discussions knowing what really it entails. It's not just a nice thing that everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, I want to be my own boss, but not know what exactly goes into it. So be fully armed. And also, even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur and you want to invest in a friend's business or pool some money together, do an investment club, invest in businesses or something, you need to know what goes into these kind of things. So we know that people are looking outside of the traditional financial institutions because, there's some skepticism these days, very well founded. But we want to make sure that as they are going in that direction, they make well-founded decisions, they are well-informed to make the right decisions and prevent any harm from coming their way. So yeah, that'll be next week's conversation. We'll have a few of those conversations as and when we get people who can speak on it. So if you know any entrepreneurs who would like to speak up on these issues, please do invite them, send them our way. We'd definitely like to talk to them. If you are listening to this and you've still not followed Manu Convos on Twitter, you just hit the follow button right now. Then you go to Facebook, you hit that follow button again. Then you go to Instagram, hit that follow button. And while you're on Instagram, go follow Investment Friend. Over there, we have nice content. You see Mimi and Seram acting, and they provide good entertaining content, but still, even going further into the personal finance conversations, beyond just these general discussions, the content there is more tailored to your individual needs. So you want to go join that community there. Thank you all for joining us this nice Sunday. I hope it will be a productive week ahead for you. Thank you, Brian, for popping in here and sharing some wisdom for us. I hope you get well soon. And shout out to Paulina and my big boss, the best manager in the whole world. I see he's slid into the audience, but he knows himself. Shout out to all of you. And Douglas, I'll be seeing you very, very soon, and we'll send pictures to everybody. All right.
Looking forward to that. See you all.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook. And subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.